We tried. We can just come blow these down.
All right, good afternoon. It is 3 p.m. and we will call the regularly scheduled Hutchinson Utilities Commission meeting to order. Commissioners, do we have any conflicts of interest to declare?
None.
Okay, we'll move right on to the consent agenda. Approve the minutes and ratify payment of bills.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
A motion by Matt and second by Troy. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Takes us straight to the financial statements. Jared.
I don't have a whole lot. You'll notice the cash did go down significantly due to the bond payments, so that was expected. Other than that, you'll also notice that the salaries and benefits did the opposite effect, which I kind of mentioned last month as well. The year-to-dates for both 24 and 23 are correct. The only one that's incorrect would be the 23 salaries and benefits, so when you're comparing. Other than that, nothing out of the ordinary.
Anything to add there, Jeremy?
Yeah, just a couple items. I've just kind of been looking at our benchmark and our financial ratios, obviously getting close to the end of the year. So, on the combined statements, we're tracking right about where our 2024 budget was put in place as far as gross margin. So we're right around that 33.6, 34%. Operating income is, right in the ballpark, and then the net income is a hair above what our budget is. But if you pull out those Heartland coin reimbursements that we received, which is really non-operating, that's not typically our operational, we're right at 3.3% net income, so we're right at the 3.1% budget. So tracking where I thought we would be and is reflective of the budget. And obviously our net income is significantly higher than this time, again, compared to last year. Again, if you pull the 752, we're right at about 1.3 million in net income. If you pull that piece out, which is right about where our budget's at, so we're about 99% budget through November from a net income standpoint. So trending very well relative to our ratios. Same thing on the electric side. For the most part, tracking fairly close to our 2024 ratios and a hair above some of our targets. Those HUC targets were minimum targets, so sometimes our budget reflects better than our targets, but those are things that we're trying to make sure we're achieving in certain areas so that we stay solvent with cash balance and things of that nature. Obviously, the net income on the electric side, that's been in red for a long time. Again, we've got a lot of depreciation that's being covered, so we've talked about those things in the past. But those are trending close to the 2024 budget that we put in place, so there shouldn't be any real significant surprises to the board of us trending away from what the budget is that you guys approved in December. So we're looking okay there. Retail revenue is up $750,000. A couple of those things, the power cost adjustment makes up about $250,000 of that, and then the other $500,000 roughly is the retail rate increases that you guys have approved over that 3-year rate track. So those things have been pretty good. On the consumption side of things, on the electric side, I'm estimating at the end of the year we'll have about 256 to 257 million kilowatt hours sold. So that'll be about 94 to 95% of our budget. So again, as we went into 2025 budget, I did back down, our budget for next year because we're just not trending to what we have been the last couple of years. We're usually 3 to 4% underneath budget. So the 2025 budget reflects a reduction in that area, and so we should be in that 99-98% range if things stay equal. If we have a little bit better warmer summer, we should get to our budget for next year. So trending okay on that side. On the gas side, volumes are up a little bit for November. In total, the industrial class is up significantly over last year. That's one customer, Minnesota Specialties. That's basically all of it and some. They added, compared to last year's November to this year, they're up 4.9 million cubic feet. So if you take them out of the equation, actually the other customers in that class had a reduction for November, and that was them ramping down through the late year into the early part of this winter. And then their fermenting was up and running significantly for year end. So that was a huge increase for them that we lost last year, and they're, like I mentioned, I think last month, they're back to normal operations both on the gas and the electric side. So hopefully that piece will be stabilized and we won't see those big swings in that class, which is made up of the 3 customers. Otherwise, ratios are tracking pretty good relative to the budget. And then the only thing, just on the investment, if any of you guys have looked at that, we did purchase a few U.S. Treasury strips. We had some investments that came due in the last month. I did put them in a couple shorter instruments. All three of them don't have a coupon, a semi-annual coupon, so we bought them at a significant discount. So the yield to maturity is still in the 4%. So we are, again, continually keeping things a little bit shorter until we get through those liquidity questions about how we're going to finance things. So just wanted to mention that. And then I do have $1 million coming due here December 20th that we're going to reinvest. And I'm going to reinvest it in something less than 12 months. So something that maybe matures in July of 25 and some matures in September 25. So it doesn't pay to go out any longer than that right now because there's minimal basis points between the 1 year, 2, 3, and 4. So let's keep it. I said, well, let's keep the stuff short until we finalize our discussion on how much we're going to bond and how much cash we're going to use, and then we can reinvest that. And I know Jared is going to have the same general conversation with our other investment broker just to make sure we're on the same page with where our cash is in our banks versus what we have in investments and how much we're going to use to pay for portions of projects and how much we're going to finance. So, and we'll work through those things in the first couple months of the next year, really kind of hammering out that financing structure. So, any questions on any of the financials that you guys have come across through November? Any concerns, issues?
Just on cash designation, what do we have left to pay GE?
Just under 2 million, 2 million-ish, about 2 million. I think we paid 2.1 or 2.2, and it was 4.3 total, so 2.21.
And
So
what's
Jared and
that-
I just talked about that as well.
What's that look like for timing?
I'm guessing we'll receive an invoice in the next several weeks. Since it's up in commission down, it's been running. I'm anticipating us getting an invoice real soon. If it's not by the end of the year, it certainly will be in the first month. I'm guessing they're gonna wanna make sure it all gets accrued back into this year since it's up and running. So that'll be a cash outlay that we're gonna have coming up as well. And so we've talked about what cash is in the bank versus what we have for investments coming up. We have about 6 million coming up maturing this year. So if you look at the laddered approach, we've got it all fairly short. 5 to 6 million every year is coming up, and we'll keep it all short until, like I said, we get through that. But that payment will be coming out here in the not too distant future. So
Any other questions?
it is. I mean, it's completion of the project will be done. So
How many
anytime
hours
we're
are on
gonna
that?
get it. Huh?
How many hours are on that new unit yet?
How many
Have
did
they
you
been
run the
running?
other 2 days?
We just finished commissioning on Saturday, so,
Hasn't really ran.
no,
Significantly.
but everything ran really well, so.
How many hours did we have on it those 2 days? How much did we
So
run?
since we received it, in September, up until now, we put on, not exact, but like roughly 36 hours through commissioning and testing and all that. Since we put the new LBT in, I wanna say we put on like roughly 6 hours through testing and stuff, tweaking and that kind of stuff. But everything looks really good, so.
So you'd know if there'd be any issues
Yep.
by now?
Got no
I guess.
vibrations, everything looks
Sure.
really good, so.
Very good.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Entertain a motion to approve the financial statements.
I'll make a motion to approve the financial statements.
Second.
Motion by Kathy and second by Anthony. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to open forum. One guest we do have here today is Tom Lambert, planned to be future commissioner, so welcome.
Thank you.
We don't have anyone else here, so we'll go ahead and go straight to communication and City Administrator Matt.
Not a lot from the city. We're doing our year-end stuff too, so budgets, tax levies. Feeling a lot of interest right now in potential development, both residential, commercial, industrial, so kind of have our fingers crossed. Next year could be a busy year, but we've been down this path before, a lot of interest and then nothing, so we'll kind of wait and see. So that's it.
It'd be nice to see that stuff move forward. All right, divisions. Dan,
Today.
Mike?
I believe everybody knows that the LN6000 is completed, so that would been my excitement, so.
Is that your Christmas present?
So, that's all I have.
Okay.
I don't have anything new.
All right. Angie?
Just year end, lots of year end stuff.
Okay. That's plenty.
Yep.
Mark?
Nothing today.
for today? Jeremy?
Really nothing from either other than year end and some of the notes. Yeah, just trying to wrap up, get some of this finalized, through out some third party billing, got that wrapped up here, so that's what will be coming in, kind of wrapping up those projects. Wrapping up some of the stuff on the commission agenda today, and January 1st will be here in a week, and then we'll start on some new projects. Did give me an update on the gas stuff, the gas project that we're gonna be still collecting some data. Did have a conversation with the consultant on Thursday with staff. We're gonna meet with staff again tomorrow and look at maybe the best option or approach to replace that segment of pipeline on school road. So when I get more information and we get more stuff collected, we'll sit down and have a conversation with the board about the best approach moving forward. Currently, there is nothing in the CIP that you guys are going to adopt today to address that, at least segment of the pipeline. So when I get some firm numbers and some options, we'll have that conversation. So just keep that in mind that you're approving today that may not be in there. So.
Without having a natural gas director in place, is the consultant serving in that role, or is that you, Jeremy, serving in that role, or how's that?
It's a combination of myself, the crew chiefs, and then Brandy and Renegade, basically on the consulting side of things, to really make sure that we're meeting following all of our O&M manuals, all of our codes, all of the PHMSA regulations. And so there's been a consensus conversation about what the pipeline looks like, what are the alternatives, what needs to be addressed immediately versus down the road. And there's a consistent consensus on where we're at. So we're in a good spot now in the pipe. We've got it cathodically protected. We've put some corrosion inhibitor on it to keep it from corroding anymore. But I think the biggest consensus is that should be addressed, at least that segment, sooner than later, since it is in a bad location. That we ultimately probably need to get that off of the bridge at some point anyway. So we'll work through a couple of those options and see what's the most cost-effective way versus maybe what's the best approach long-term. Because there will be that additional segment that we've talked about in the past that helps feed the southwest part of town in regular Station 5. That'll be a project that we will want to do. So we want to be really thoughtful about this segment of pipeline and make sure we set that up with valves and shut-off components that as we put a better segment in to address the southwest, that we've got those things talked about. So we've had those conversations. We're going to look at some mapping, some GIS stuff tomorrow. Talk to some of the agencies that we need to based on what options may be available to us, and then we'll come forward and have a conversation with the board and get you guys up to speed. But I just wanted to let you guys know that there is some of that out there. Right now, it's just been identified here recently, so we've done what we need to in the immediate. We won't necessarily need to do anything this winter, but this summer we probably should have a game plan ready to go for something, at least on that segment of pipeline. So I'll keep you guys informed as we kind of put more stuff together on that.
Any other questions there? All right, takes us to item number 6, which is policies. Nothing for review and nothing for changes. Also no unfinished business for item 7. So we'll go to item 8A, which is approve the 2025 non-union pay grid adjustment and job position reclassification. Jeremy.
Thank you. So every year the board is tasked not only with approving the budget and the capital improvement projects for the next 5 years, but also is responsible for approving moving the pay grid for the non-union employees. So we have, now we'll have going into 2025, 11 non-union employees and 41 union employees. And so based on the last union negotiation contract cycle, which was a 3-year agreement, 23 through 20, or 24 through 26, the commission has approved wage increases for the union employees. So the last piece that needs to happen, at least within the organization, is to have the commission approve the pay grid shift. Then that sets the new minimum and maximum pay ranges for the non-union employees within those grades. So that's what's in front of you today. It's customary that I typically will send you guys and provide you guys CPI data so you have a general idea of what's going on in the economy, what's going on not just nationally but also locally, particularly with unemployment rates. What are we seeing for turnover in the organization? What am I seeing as far as collecting data, both public and private data within the Midwest? And so you guys have a general idea of kind of where the markets are with inflation, wages, both public and private sector information. We've also talked about trying to keep things fairly consistent within the organization between the two union groups, between the union body and the non-union group. And so, those pieces come into consideration as well as when you're looking at the CPI and the indexes that are out there as we kind of move forward. So again, you've got the information in front of you, kind of what's going on there. The other piece that's part of this item today is a reclassification of a job, which we talked a little about in the past. We've consolidated 2 positions up front. Sue Winter, who was a longtime employee here, has retired, and we're not backfilling that position, which was the computer systems analyst, and we've merged that with our account supervisor position. So we had to go out and have that job re-looked at to make sure we had it classified appropriately, because we also have pay equity within the state of Minnesota. Since we're a government employee, we have pay equity requirements that we have to follow by Minnesota law. So we have to make sure internally all of our grades and all of our jobs are classed appropriately with enough equity between them to make sure that we're in compliance. So we did have this one re-looked at, just as we've had a position a couple years ago. Andrew's position was reclassified with different job duties. So in addition to the pay grid shift, I'm asking the commission to approve today of moving it. My recommendation is moving it 4.5%. The piece with that is, doesn't necessarily mean everyone's getting a 4.5% in a wage increase on the non-union side. It depends on where each individual falls within their pay grid and where they fall, just like me, right? Where I fall in the market, if I'm in the market or I'm at low on the market or whatever that range is. So some will see less than that, some will see more than that based on performance and based on where they're at. And then as part of that, I would ask you guys to approve reclassifying the account supervisor position from a grade 8 to a grade 9. That's, and you can see the Baker Tilly is our consultant that does our reclassifications and has provided us the safe evaluation system that we use to pay on the non-equity and the non-union side of things. So,
And that reclassification was because it's being combined with the former computer systems analyst position?
correct, and then based on the different criteria that are a part of that: education, experience, skill set. Does this position have the ability to work independently? Its strategic importance to the organization, those types of things. There's about, I think, 10 or 11 areas that are graded based on skill sets, education, experience, and then they come up with a point. So in this particular case, the old position I think was 270 points, and now with the combinations combined, about 310 position, 310 points, which pushes it into the grade 9. The old grade 10 computer systems had more technical stuff in it, where back in the day it was computer programming things. It was more IT based things, which created that position at more of a grade 10. Those things aren't there anymore. We're not asking this position to design code, troubleshoot IT things. That stuff is, we're using software systems that are all done by software companies, things of that nature. So that really high level technical IT component is no longer in that position. So as we merged those things came out of the job description. So this position now, instead of going from an 8 to a 10, it fell in between what she currently was at and what the old position was that Sue had, and combined it based on the rating and the scoring of the new job description. So we reviewed that, we looked at that, and everything I think was scored appropriately from what we looked at. We didn't think there was any issue or any concern with how that was regraded by the consultant, that we needed to have them take into consideration. So we think it's graded appropriately for the job description that was been revised and what the function is of the job up there.
So those technical IT aspects are done by a third party now?
Yeah, a lot of that, a lot of it used to be back in the day when that position, it was creating access databases, writing code, C++ stuff. It was working in AS400 systems. It was merging access databases with stuff. That stuff's all morphed away from that stuff, and we're running an integrated utility billing system. We're still pulling in data, but this position doesn't have to program and design programs to accommodate that. That stuff is all what I would call out-of-the-box software systems now. And when there is any potential customization on the system that we need, our software vendors do that for us. So it's really kind of merged away from what I would call some IT functionality stuff to more administrative, following our policies, administering our customer billing department, those types of things. And we've actually, and then Sue, before she had left, I had asked her to move stuff out of Access databases into spreadsheets and things, because Access, unless you're in it every day, it's hard to manipulate the data, and those types of databases have parent-child relationships that can mess up things, and so no one was super proficient in that type of stuff here, so we needed to merge and migrate data to things that are more user-friendly here. So she did that before she left, so we've got those types of things that have happened as well. So.
The true IT functions are handled with the contract with City Hall, right?
Correct. All the high-level stuff, all the firewalls, all the installation of software and things like that, that's all done by IT. Yeah. So.
questions for Jeremy?
Nope.
Make a motion to approve the proposed 2025 non-union pay grid and job position reclassification.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Troy and second by Kathy to approve the 2025 non-union pay grid adjustment and job position reclassification. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. 8B is approval of the 2025 electric and natural gas operating budgets and the 5-year CIP. Jeremy?
So back on the 27th of November, we went through and had a budget workshop right before our scheduled meeting for about an hour. We went over the high level kind of budget information both on the electric side and the natural gas side. Nothing has changed in the budget since you guys looked at that, so that information is still the same information. Nothing has been tweaked or amended. We still are, the insurability piece of the unit, we're still unclear of where that piece is going. I do have money in the budget as if it is going to be insured, and we're going to pay a premium on that piece. If that changes, that will just be a cost savings, and then we'll need to talk about what other maybe items we want to do to self-insure a portion of that or whatever the case may be as we move forward. But currently right now the premiums are in there for that, so I didn't take those out in anticipation that it will be insured. So nothing's changed. I did add some narrative information into the packet this time around, so for you, some of you guys that want to take a little bit more time and read those things, you can see some of the additional information that went into some of the processes of forecasting kilowatt hour sales or what went into the gas prices and things of that nature. So I won't go into a lot of detail. Hopefully you guys have had a chance to review those things. I've talked to a few of you just about certain pieces of that. If there's any questions on any of that information, I'm certainly open to those questions, or if the board in the future wants the presentations done in a certain way or a different way or any additional information, I'm certainly open to providing that information as well. So,
Any questions for Jeremy?
I had some very minor questions. I met with Jeremy and he answered them very well. Jeremy just mentioned, does the commission want to present it in a different way? So let's give him some feedback on that. I'm on my last meeting of my last budget, but I think you pretty much nailed it. Like I said, the questions I had were very small. So I think the amount of information and the presentation of information is appropriate in my opinion. I think that's excellent.
I would concur. I think you do a very good job of just encapsulating all the information we need to have and putting it in a format that's easy for us to follow. And any questions, you're always willing and able to answer. So.
It's the peak. That's the information's this wide and this deep, and we get to see this part of it. But if we have to ask detailed questions, you have it all, and I like that.
okay.
Absolutely.
Certainly, yeah, if there's other information that someone particularly wants to see, just reach out, let me know.
Any other input?
No, I don't think so. I'll make a motion to approve the 2025 electric and natural gas operating budgets and 5-year CIP.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion by Matt, second by Troy to approve the 2025 electric and natural gas operating budgets and a 5-year CIP. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. So the next item on the agenda is the closed session to conduct the annual performance review of the Utilities General Manager Jeremy Carter under Minnesota Statute 13D.05 Subdivision 3A. Jeremy, as you know, under Minnesota law, you have the right to either have this portion of the meeting open or closed. So before we go any further, you need to let us know whether you wanted to have the meeting closed or not.
I'd like to have it closed.
I would now entertain a motion to go into closed session to conduct the annual performance review of the Utilities General Manager Jeremy Carter.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Anthony and second by Matt to go into closed session to conduct Jeremy Carter's annual review. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.